Hey guys, Marsningen here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and I'm finally uploading another one of these no item runs. Unfortunately, this is one of the ones that the original footage was lost due to the recorder app on my phone, for some reason absolutely destroying the quality. And if you haven't seen any of the previous videos where I talked about this, I did record all of the runs basically on the day the stages came out and the day after at work, because I had to work across those days, unfortunately. And then I started to do, you know, like record the commentary afterwards. And for some reason, some of them were okay, but it seems like it's mostly the ones I recorded on the second day. Just for some reason, the quality was awful, and I was recording the commentary over the top, and I just got to a certain point where I just had to stop because it looked so bad. I just don't want to put up a video that looks that bad. Like, obviously, we all raced to get the stages done, and I did show like a bunch of the screenshots on Twitter and stuff like that. But like, in terms of getting the actual video uploaded, I didn't want to rush and put up something that was really bad quality. But unfortunately, things have been super busy recently, not just with work, but with all the stuff that's been going on in Dokkan. Obviously, the GT event came out, so there was tons of stuff to do. So I'm super behind, but we're getting all of them put up now. So this is the POTARA run. Unfortunately, for the last couple of runs that we have to do, it's funny that they ended up being like the last three, because I do use pretty much the same team, give or take the odd unit or two, because even though this is POTARA, you can see we are not running like double in LR Vegetos, we are running the double LR STR Goku and Vegeta team. So technically the Majin Buu Saga / Battle of Wits team, but obviously just using POTARA units. And I mean, the main reason for that is the Goku and Vegeta themselves and just how good they are. Like, mine are only 55%, so they're not quite as good as like a rainbow one, or even, you know, even one with a couple of dupes. But the key thing about them is, of course, they have built-in damage reduction in their starting form. And in both their starting form and Vegito form, they raise defense on super attack. So basically, if you get a super attack off, even with no items active, they're going to tank reasonably well, and they have a built-in chance to additional in their passive, even at 55%. So it is possible to double super with them, which of course raises their defense twice. And so after like a double super attack, they take barely any damage from normal attacks, and obviously reduced damage from a super attack, so that works out really well. And of course, there's no real units on this team that can tank like everything for nothing, right? Like, there's a lot of dodging involved on this team, because we have Candy Vegito, we have the Kibito and Supreme Kai, but you know, if we actually do get tagged by some hits, we are going to lose quite a lot of health, and then that's where the other massive bonus of the Goku and Vegeta come in, because once we hit turn 4, as long as we're below, is it 77% HP, we can use the active skill to fuse into Vegito, and that gives you a 50% heal. So as long as you're not super far below 50% health at the time, it's basically giving you a heal straight back up to full health, which in a no items run, any units that can give you healing in a big way are really, really useful. So units like Cell, units like the Icarus Gohan, the AGL Whis, Toa, like units that can give you a big heal. I mean, like the LR fusions from the 3-year are kind of in that boat, but especially in ESBR, depending on the power level of your team overall and how sort of tanky it is compared to how damage dealing it is, you're not necessarily going to be able to get to 6 turns in order to get their fusion. But obviously the Goku and Vegeta are super, super good, so we do use them quite a bit for the stages where they can be used for these no item runs. So obviously we got Candy Vegito on the team. Shout out to our boy Jay Fanta, his meme mascot. You know, he can be super good or super bad depending on your RNG. It's a typical sort of the same with the Realm of God stage, like a UI Goku situation. Does have a 70% chance to dodge. Of course, being a free-to-play unit, even post-Easy A, and the fact that he does raise his defense slightly on super attack, if he doesn't dodge a hit, he takes a lot of damage. But it kind of plays into what I was saying with like the Goku and Vegeta transformation into Vegito, where, you know, if we don't dodge an attack or two with Candy Vegito, we're just more likely to be able to drop under the threshold in order to get the transformation for Goku and Vegeta. So then obviously Supreme Kai and Kibito, I mentioned them already. I think I ended up using them on pretty much every single stage they could be used on, because I believe they were on the Realm of God's final build. And that's just because they're so good for Super Battle Road. They have so much utility. You can play very tactically with how you want to use them. So in their starting form, they have a built-in chance to dodge. They lower attack and can stun on their super attack, so you can kind of roll the dice that you might get a stun. Even if you don't, you get to lower their attack, and then they do have a very decent dodge chance built in. If you choose to transform them, which you can do from turn 1, you lower the all enemies attack and defense for 2 turns, and the enemy that you attack with the super on that first turn, you're guaranteed to stun for 2 turns. Now, the reason you have to play that kind of tactically is because after that initial stun from them, their super attack no longer has the chance to stun. It only seals. So you lose that ability that they have in their base form to stun. And of course they lose their built-in chance to dodge. They do have more base attack and defense. But then it means you've got to be more careful. Because obviously you can, in their base form, put them in slot 1. Have them dodge a bunch of hits. And then potentially get a stun. In both forms, they do raise their defense on super attack, so they are actually reasonably good defensively after supering. And if they double super, like, they will actually take double-digit damage from some enemies. So what you want to do realistically is not transform them on turn 1 necessarily, and take advantage of the guaranteed stun and the attack lowering once you're already a couple of turns into the fight. But it does differ, and that's what I kind of like about them, is you have to, you know, they offer you that sort of tactical ability that you can choose when you want to transform them to best, like, maximize the situation. So they are very, very good. I did bring physical Vegito Blue, who might be a bit of a surprise to some people, especially because he can be pretty RNG related. So especially when you've got an STR enemy around and you can't avoid their attacks with him. If you get unlucky and he only gets 1 super attack off, I think we did see it in the first fight, he still takes around 30 to 40k from like an STR enemy off of a normal attack. And, you know, just like AGL Super Vegito and the kind of memes about him being a bit of a super attack magnet, you do have to be very careful, because if an enemy is not sealed, he cannot tank a super attack, even after multiple supers. Like, if he gets super attacked, he will take a lot of damage. So we do have to be careful about how we use him. But, I mean, that's kind of like a no items run in general. You are very likely to, you know, bungle the run, essentially, if you get a super attack where you weren't expecting it. So you can see there the Supreme Kai and Kibito started off okay with a dodge, and then pre-super they did take a little bit more damage from Gotenks than you might expect, considering they have type advantage. But you can see there from Gogeta, they didn't dodge the super attack and they took a ton of damage, but the follow-up normal attack only did like 100 damage. So post-super attack they are really good defensively. And honestly, when we didn't dodge that super attack, I thought we might have died, because our health is ridiculously low. And then the Goku and Vegeta, after raising their defense, they took 60 odd K from a super attack from Gotenks. So as you can see, like, we were very close. Like, we just about survived the turn. And the crazy thing here as well is we are now only on turn 3, so we don't get the chance to transform Goku and Vegeta into Vegito on this turn. So this is where you obviously need a little bit of that luck to come in. So I'm taking a moment here to try and decide exactly what I want to do, because obviously you would think the strategy here is just put Candy Vegito in slot 1, try and stun Gotenks because he has the most health, and then try and finish off Gogeta this turn if we can. The problem is, as you may notice at the bottom of the screen, the Dokkan gauge is almost completely full. So if I put Candy Vegito in slot 1, the only way I can super attack with him is if I pick up all the green orbs. And then that means I'm probably not going to be able to avoid the Dokkan attack this turn. And I really don't want to be getting it with Candy Vegito, because it's kind of like a waste of a Dokkan attack, because he's not really going to do a lot of damage. So it does take me a second here to decide what I'm going to do. Pretty awkward situation to be in. I could not go for the super attack, but then, like, I might not get the stun, and then one of them might super attack. So I probably should have cut this bit out. I didn't realize I waited for so long. But yeah, apparently I did decide to go for the super attack with him. So I guess I'm just going all in at this point. I know I'm going to be getting the Dokkan attack here, so I just commit. I grab same type orbs with the Goku and Vegeta, and then yeah, here we go. So we hit all the nodes. Obviously, we're not going to be doing crazy damage here. 1.1 mil. Ideally, you want the Dokkan attack to be like a big sweep, like either do a massive chunk of damage or potentially even finish off a fight, depending on when you get it. But unfortunately, in this situation, we couldn't actually avoid it. And then to make matters worse, Candy Vegito did not stun Gotenks, but he does come in clutch with the multiple dodges. He didn't take a lot of damage from the Tech Gotenks there as well, because I believe he was attack lowered. So pretty lucky to not die here, all things considered. I've always thought, I guess it would be a little bit OP, especially in modes like this, but I've always thought that units that can stun, if you're doing the Dokkan attack with them, because the Dokkan attack is like a huge boosted attack because it does so much extra damage, I've always felt like it should be a guaranteed stun if you're doing it with a unit that can stun, especially because most of the time units that can stun on their super are obviously not dealing as much damage as other units. But as you can see, barely any HP back from the Dokkan attack, but that was not really the point of using it. The point was just to survive the turn, and then we can go into the Goku and Vegeta fusion, get that nice little bit of extra HP. And the thing is as well to consider, especially because I can't remember now, is this my Goku and Vegeta, or is it the friend? Because I can't remember how many dupes the friend has, but mine is only 55%. This is the friend. So the one important thing to consider as well is the fact that once you fuse into Vegito, they lose the built-in damage reduction that they have. So normal attacks actually do quite a lot of damage to this Vegito, especially my one at 55%. He can take upwards of like 50 or 60k from a normal attack. So I decided to go ahead and fuse Kibito and Supreme Kai on this turn, because we're going to lower everybody's attack. And then the strategy that I need to go for is once we transform the Goku and Vegeta into Vegito, we're able to see enemy super attacks for 10 turns. And so that allows me to see that Gogeta is super attacking in slot 1. So if I'd put Supreme Kai and Kibito in slot 1 and they didn't get the stun on Gogeta, they wouldn't have been able to kill him. If they didn't get the stun and then didn't dodge, we would have died. So my plan here is put Vegito Blue in slot 1. Obviously, he doesn't get a chance to raise his defense because he's not super attacking first. But, you know, we basically just had to hope and pray that Gotenks didn't super attack. And then I couldn't even get the key for him to super. So I'm kind of banking on him getting his additionals from his passive to kind of come in here and save the day. And he does get one super attack. But as you can see, it is not enough. So fortunately, after one super attack and the type advantage, we don't take that much damage. Like, I mean, 90k is still quite a bit, all things considered. But at least we survive the turn. Whereas, like I said, if I'd put Kibito and Supreme Kai in slot 1, they would have definitely taken the L. And if we'd fused them and put them in slot 1, where they obviously get the guaranteed stun, there were the 2 attacks in slot 1, and pre-super attack and raising their defense, they take like 80 or 90k from normal attacks, depending on the enemy typing. Obviously, Gogeta hits very hard in this stage, so that seemed very dangerous. So we went with the Vegito Blue in slot 1. It paid off. We survived the turn, and of course the good thing is as well, having the second Goku and Vegeta by running them as double leads, we were on just low enough health to be able to use the second active skill as well. So if you think about this, is like, think about the recovery that we got in this turn. We went from being a sliver of health away from death to a couple of turns later we only have one enemy left, they're stunned, and then this particular fusion, the second Vegito fusion, is going to put us up to full HP. So I think we actually might end out this fight on full health. So unfortunately we can't get a super attack for Candy Vegito, so obviously ideally we'd want to keep Gotenks locked into a stun train. That's always one of the best strategies for a no items run, is if you have multiple units that can stun. As soon as you get down to one enemy, you're basically, I know you're kind of hoping on the RNG of the stun chance, but you can keep them in a stun lock and then it just becomes ridiculously easy. So despite getting an additional into a super attack, Candy Vegito did not get the stun. Obviously STR Vegito though, bit of a powerhouse, and takes out Gotenks with his 18 key super. So we're able to move on to the final fight against Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, and we are on full HP. So this one is, it can be a tricky one. when I originally recorded the run on the day these stages came out, I think it took me a good like 3 or 4 attempts, and then when I re-recorded it, it actually took me a good like 3 or 4 attempts. And the main reason is because when you get to this final fight against Gogeta, obviously he's only the one enemy, but look how many times he's attacking in the one turn. It's like 10 or more. And the problem is, even though there is only one enemy, as I was previously saying, like the stun lock can be super powerful. But if you start missing your stuns, then you need to be very careful, because he's AGL and our 2 leaders on this team are STR, and whilst they do have built-in damage reduction, he is able to deal quite a lot of damage to them. So we do need to get lucky with our stuns. Obviously, we start off nicely with the Kibito and Supreme Kai only getting the 1 hit and then actually getting the stun. Because like this would be a really bad turn if he wasn't stunned. We'd have to put Candy Vegito in slot 1 and basically just hope and pray for the stun. So, but fortunately, he is already stunned. So this actually is a very good setup for this turn, because we can get off the 18 key super with both of the Goku and Vegetas. And then Candy Vegito is in the middle there. So obviously with the amount of HP that Gogeta has, you can kind of see here, like if we don't get crits with the Goku and Vegeta, we don't really do a lot of damage. But it is what it is. So unfortunately, Candy Vegito does let us down and not get the stun, which means he's going to be unstunned next turn, and we have to take our chances with Kibito and Supreme Kai. Neither of the Goku and Vegetas get crits either, which is kind of awkward. So basically the best strategy with Kibito and Supreme Kai when there are attacks in slot 1 is to not transform them, because as I was saying in the previous fight, there are 3 attacks in slot 1. If I transform Kibito Kai in slot 1, even if we get lucky and he doesn't super attack, I mean, look there, we took 120k from that normal attack that we didn't dodge. So if we didn't dodge that super there, it would have been GG. If we had transformed, we don't have built-in dodge anymore. So even though they have slightly higher defense, that 120k attack would have probably still been 90 to 100k, and then that super would have been death. So you can see where the RNG and like bringing units that could dodge and things like that definitely plays a huge factor in some of these no item runs. And it is kind of funny to see that I believe the Kibito Kai and Supreme Kai in their base form have less of a stun chance than Candy Vegito, but in this final fight against Gogeta, I'm pretty sure they get like way more stuns. So far they're 2 for 2 on stuns, and Candy Vegito has yet to successfully achieve a stun. So I'm trying to decide here whether I actually want to transform Goku and Vegeta this early on, because remember, like I was saying previously, once we transform into Vegito, they lose their damage reduction. So we're not low enough HP yet that we desperately need the heal to save the run. So I decide not to transform them, because again, like if we get to a turn where we can't stun Gogeta, and then we have to put him in front of a bunch of attacks, because that Vegito has lost his damage reduction, he would take a ton of damage. So obviously the trade-off is we don't get to do as much damage, especially because the Goku and Vegeta did get the crit there. So if we had fused into Vegito, that would have been a lot more damage. But he just has so much HP that you have to kind of play it tactically to survive the whole fight. You can't just be in the mindset of like, oh well, if I transform I'll do more damage this turn, because the only time you really want to do that is when their health is low enough that you can pretty much guarantee that that's going to be the final turn if you go ahead and transform then. So I decided to transform here because we need that little bit of extra HP, especially if the Kibito and Supreme Kai are unsuccessful with their dodges in the first slot, and then if they are unsuccessful with their stun, they do at least lower attack on their super. And so by putting the STR Vegito in this final slot, we are only going to be taking 1 attack with him. So I'm basically taking the risk that that attack in the final slot is not going to be a super attack. I am, of course, hoping that Kibito and Supreme Kai are going to come through for me again with the stun, because they've been very good so far. And obviously the Vegito, same with the Goku and Vegeta form, gets extra key from orbs, so we get a nice 24 key super. And there you go, look, no dodge, you take 120k from Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. But you can see we don't get the attack lower, but you can see the difference after super attacking. They actually dodged both the attacks, I guess it doesn't matter, but he is attack lowered now. So this leaves both of the Vegetos in a much better position here, because they're going to be able to tank way better. Look at that, after 2 supers, Physical Vegito Blue can tank the attack lowered Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta for double-digit damage. And of course, we are riding on the hope that we're not going to get super attacked here, because either of the Vegetos will be killed by a super attack. So when I was planning out the rotation, you basically just have to hope that they aren't going to get supered. And of course, the benefit is you do such massive damage with all the counters if you don't get super attacked. You can see there, Vegito Blue did a very good job of wearing down the rest of Gogeta's HP, and then Vegito comes in with the crit at the end to finish him off. Because honestly, if that super attack wasn't a crit, we might not have killed him. So who knows what that final attack in that last slot would have brought. As long as it wasn't a super, he was attack lowered, we should have survived, and then potentially the counter would have finished him off. But there you go. And I actually set my new record for the stage as well, which is quite surprising. But there you go, that is the POTARA no items run done, finally uploaded. Sorry for the delay, I'm going to try and get all the final ones up before the end of the week, because obviously we're going to have all the new stuff from the Dokkan Now to cover. We got the free-to-play Easy A's coming out on Global, so there's still a ton of stuff on the schedule to do, and I will try and get the rest of these uploaded as soon as possible. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.